All right, let's talk about something that we all rely on every single day: confidence. Think about when you first learned to drive a car. At the beginning, you're thinking about every single move, right? But after a while, something just clicks. It becomes second nature. That confidence is absolutely essential, especially in our relationship with technology. We just expect our tools to work.
But what happens when that trust starts to crumble? When the tools you count on day in and day out start acting, well, a little weird. Not with a big loud crash, but in these small, unsettling ways that make you second-guess what you're doing. It's this incredibly frustrating feeling, and it's really at the heart of what we're going to unpack here.
And that leads us right to this very specific and, honestly, really damaging kind of problem: the silent failure. And, in a lot of ways, these are so much worse than a full-on system crash because they happen without any warning at all.
So what is a silent failure exactly? Well, it's when your device hits a snag, an error happens, but you, the user, are told absolutely nothing about it. No pop-up, no alert. The thing you tried to do just doesn't work. The system makes a little note about it somewhere in a log file you'll probably never ever see, and you're just left there wondering, wait, did I do something wrong?
This is a perfect breakdown of how that trust just evaporates. Let's walk through it. Say you're saving a web page. Simple enough, right? But later, when you go to open it, all you see is a blank window. No error, nothing. So you try again, thinking it was a fluke. Same result. So what do? You find a workaround. You save it as a PDF instead. And just like that, poof, your confidence in that original feature is gone. You've literally changed your behavior because the system silently failed you.
And this isn't just one random bug. No, it's a whole pattern of things people are noticing. You might search for a file you know is there, but search comes up empty. Or you open the clock app to set a timer, and the interface is just blank. It doesn't work. And maybe the most maddening part is that when people report these problems, even official support is often just as stumped, sometimes telling you to do a complete reinstall with no guarantee it'll even fix it.
So, as you can imagine, this is all leading to a growing chorus of frustration out there. This isn't some niche issue for tech experts. It's a widespread thing that's making everyday people question the basic reliability of their tools.
Sometimes the problem isn't silence, it's just a message that makes absolutely no sense. Take this person's experience. They try to open an app and the system tells them it's damaged, which, by the way, it wasn't, and that they should eject the disk. Eject what disk? It's just as bad as silence because it totally breaks any kind of logical sense.
Now this next one is actually pretty scary: silent data corruption. This user is editing a document and everything looks totally fine on screen, but after they save it and reopen it, parts are just missing. Text boxes are empty. The system let them save a broken file without a single warning. It turns a basic core function into a complete roll of the dice. And then you get the errors that are just flat out wrong. Here, a backup system says it failed because the computer is locked, even though it's sitting right there, unlocked and being used. I mean, when the system starts lying to you, how can you trust anything it says? You start to second-guess every single notification.
So what is going on here? Why does this seem to be a bigger and bigger problem? Well, it might just come down to a clash of priorities and how software is made today.
At its core, it's this huge gap between the promise and the reality. The promise of all this tech for years has been that it just works. It's simple, it's seamless, it's reliable. But for more and more people, the reality has become, okay, time to find a workaround. They're spending their time figuring out how to navigate around the broken parts of their devices.
Now, people have a few theories about why this quality seems to be slipping. One idea is that so much effort is going into aesthetics, fancy visual effects, that the core stability gets left behind. Another is the constant pressure of the annual release cycle, which means new features get pushed out the door before old bugs are really squashed. And then there's this idea of the happy path dogma. Basically, developers design for the perfect scenario, when everything works right, and they forget to build good, helpful error messages for when things inevitably go wrong.
And it is so important to understand that this isn't just about one company or one platform. This feeling of eroding quality and crumbling user confidence, it's a much bigger trend across the entire tech industry. It's a symptom of things just getting more and more complex.
And this trend has a very modern and maybe more dangerous cousin: the AI hallucination. This is what we call it when an AI model just makes something up but presents it with total confidence as if it's a fact.
It's really just a high-stakes version of a silent failure, because the system isn't just failing to tell you about an error, it's actively presenting the error as the truth.
So all of this really forces us to look at the future of our trust in technology, because once that confidence is gone, the cost of getting it back is incredibly high, and the ripple effects go a long, long way.
So what's the solution here? It might actually be simpler than we think. The key is what you see right here: honest and understandable error reporting. When something goes wrong, if the system just tells you clearly what's happening, it empowers you. It lets you try to fix the problem instead of just giving up, and it keeps that bond of trust intact even when things break.
Because when that trust breaks, the effect spreads like a contagion. First, we stop using features we used to count on. Then we waste our time building complicated workarounds. Then that distrust spreads as we tell our friends in college what's broken, damaging a brand's reputation. And over time, it changes our whole relationship with technology from one of partnership to one of suspicion. And that leaves us with a really big, challenging final question. As our technology gets more and more complex, with AI woven into everything, are we heading towards a future where we're just forced to trust it, even when our gut is telling us it might be failing silently, or even worse, confidently lying to us? It's really a question about the future of trust itself.